So I've been following the P. Diddy trial, and originally going into it, I thought that there's 100% chance P. Diddy's going to prison. It's 100. There's 100% chance he's going. There's no way they're gonna let P. Diddy get away with this. It's just too much. There's too much crazy stuff going on. But as the trial goes on, and I'm gonna look at, we're gonna look at some of the evidence that's unveiled in the trial as it goes on. As I look at the jury makeup, as I look at different facts going on with the case, I realize P. Diddy will be found not guilty. Yes, you heard it here first on Woke Progressive. P. Diddy will be found not guilty. He's not. He's not. He's in jail now, but he's not going to go to prison. There's no way he's going to prison. Um, just because of what's unveiled in the trial. So Cassie, who was his girlfriend of 11 years, they were together over a decade. Um, Cassie testified today, and she was the prosecution's star witness. So essentially, what was going on with P. Diddy is, obviously we knew he had the freak offs, all kind of sexual degeneracy, all types of baby oil being used, drug use, the whole 9 yards in degeneracy P. Diddy had going on at his mansions. Um, and Cassie, who's the star witness, uh, I thought her entire argument would be, well, I was coerced for over a decade. He kept me on drugs. He beat me. He did this. He did that, and I had no choice in the matter. He had me chained up and locked up in a basement, and I couldn't leave. And originally, I thought that's what's going to get him. But as the trial goes forward, you see that's not really the case. She wasn't really locked up in a basement. She had complete and utter independence, it seems like, throughout the 11 years that her and P. Diddy were together. But instead of me talking, let's just look at some of the text messages. Some of the text messages that came out. This is Cassie Ventura, the star witness. The star witness. The cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom, but this is what she looks like. She's like a Mexican. Have you guys seen any pictures of her? She looks like a Mexican or maybe a half breed or something like that. And this is what I always tell black men: stay away from the half breed, stay away from the Mexicans, stay away from the white women. It always comes back to bite you. It always does. It always does. Now, P. Diddy, he probably sold his soul to Satan. He's just a sick individual all the way around. So whether or not he's with a white woman or a black woman, it kind of doesn't even really matter because he's a Satanist anyway. But, just because he's a Satanist, that doesn't mean he should be in prison. But this is Cassie. We're going to look at some of her text messages. The star witness for the prosecution, and also P. Diddy's woman, his girlfriend, his partner of 11 years, over a decade. This is what she would say. The defense, she says, "I'm a very lucky woman," Ventura wrote to P. Diddy in a January 2008 text message. "I miss you so much. I'd fly wherever you needed me, whenever you needed me. I love you." And how do you explain that away? To me, someone who's locked in a basement, someone who's being coerced, they're not going to send text messages like that. This was back in 2008. So you mean to tell me from 2008 to whatever year you came out and discussed all these allegations, you just sat there and did nothing? Well, I'll tell you. You see in later text messages what she actually did in those years with P. Diddy. Many other messages were sexually explicit. She says, "I'm always ready for a freak off." She's always ready for a freak off. So someone who's being coerced, someone who's being, locked in a basement and being beat on and being forced to participate in degeneracy, they're not going to be sending text messages, "I love you, I miss you." I've been in toxic relationships, nothing like this. I've been in toxic relationships, and I'm not texting that girl, "Oh, I miss you so much, baby." No, I'm ready to get the hell out of this relationship. I hate this relationship. You're not going to be sending text messages like this. It seems like what Cassie is doing what a lot of modern women tend to do. which is become a victim whenever a relationship is toxic. Maybe you cheated on her, she cheated on you. But the woman is always, I'm a victim. Oh, I was victimized. Even though, it seems like she was also just as culpable as P. Diddy. Let's look at some more text messages. The jury was shown six from 2012 reminiscing on past freak-offs and how they enjoyed when they made love after one of them. Ventura also confirmed she and Combs had conversations about the swingers lifestyle, noting it was very different from the freak-offs. In a March 2017 text message, Ventura wrote that she enjoyed freak-offs when we both wanted. I would say that loving freak-offs were just words at that point, she testified Thursday. And how does that make sense? They're just words. No, they're your words, woman. Women try to do that. I told them I loved them and I missed them and I love freak-offs. Those were just words. Yeah, but those words mean something. Those words mean something. And what do they mean? It seems as though if there was sex trafficking really going on, if there was all these crimes, this racketeering going on, it seems like she was his right-hand man, or should I say right-hand woman. She was just, it seems like based on these text messages, that she's just as culpable as P. Diddy is. I love the freak offs, daddy. I can't wait for the next one. But I'm a victim. I'll get the hell out of here. Other text messages show Ventura's frustrations. Ventura expressed her hesitancy with freak offs, and we're not going to read all of that because this is not why I think P. Diddy is going to get off. I don't want to get. Definitely, that's probably the bulk of it. You saw kind of how those were some of the text messages she sent out, and it seems like she was culpable. She was in on the whole thing. She wasn't being forced. She wasn't being manipulated. She wasn't being coerced. That's just the I'm a woman, I'm a victim card that they always like to play. But that's ultimately, I don't think that is why he's going to be let go. This is why. So in the modern criminal justice system, the jury decides the case. It's not like the judge says guilty or not guilty, unless you have what they call a bench trial. But this is a jury trial. The jury's actually going to decide the verdict in this, and you have 16 individuals in this jury. And today I thought, let's just look up the jury makeup. Because if he's got 16 women deciding this case, that nigga's gonna be locked up forever. If he's got 16 women on his jury, and hopefully his lawyers didn't do him like that. That's what I was thinking. Hopefully his lawyers were smart enough not to get a jury full of women. Because if it's a jury full of women, regardless of whether they're white women or black women, P. Diddy's going to jail. That's it. And so today I found this article. Let's take a look at this. This is about the jury makeup of P. Diddy's trial. And stay with me. This is ultimately why he's going to get off. This is why he's going to be found not guilty. Mark my words. I'm telling you right here. You heard it here first. He's going to be found not guilty. All right. This is what we know about, I said 16. The 12 members of the jury. All right. They range in age from 30 to 74. All right. And this is probably one of the most important aspects. On Monday, the group of jurors made up of 8 men and 4 women. And when I saw this, I thought, that's interesting. They got 8 men. Not the 12 men you would probably want, but 8 men, you got the men doubling the women in that situation. That's actually pretty good. That's working in P. Diddy's favor. And then we get to the age of the jurors, what they do for a living, and little small intricate detail, not intricate, but little small details about their life. Little small details. And looking at it, immediately after seeing this, I said, not guilty. Not guilty. There's no way this set of jurors, no way with the jury makeup like this, what we're about to look at, no way these people are going to convict P. Diddy. You can look at him as free. His lawyers did a great job. All right, let's look at this. This is juror number 2. A 69-year-old male from Manhattan who works as an actor and a massage therapist. So this is probably a homosexual. He listens to classical jazz and rock music, and his hobbies include theater. Yeah, definitely a homosexual. Cycling and hiking. So they got a 69-year-old homosexual from Manhattan. To be 69 years old and a homosexual, you know you got to be a freak. So this gay man, this 69-year-old gay man, because by 69 you would think that somebody's outgrown homosexuality. You know, it seems like after a few years, you just get tired of getting plowed in the ass. And so he's got to be some kind of a freak. So he can sympathize with the freak off stuff. Whenever he hears about the homosexual activities that P. Diddy engaged in, the 69-year-old gay guy is like, yeah, I don't see a problem with that. In Manhattan, do you know how gay they are in Manhattan? So yeah, I mean, this is a homosexual. He's an actor and a massage therapist, a gay massage therapist. Can you imagine the freaky stuff he's done? So come on, this freak, this 69-year-old freak, no way he's gonna convict P. Diddy. But let's look at the next drawer. A 31-year-old male from Manhattan who works as an investment analyst. He enjoys playing sports and video games. I don't know what to say about that drawer. He's 31 years old, which, you know, and he's a male, so I guess that would ultimately work in P. Diddy's favor. You know, it's really hard to say, you know, enjoy sports and video games. So that's really hard to say about that drawer. Next drawer, a 51-year-old male from Manhattan who has a PhD in molecular biology, neuroscience, and neuroscience. He listens to classical music and opera, and his hobbies include art, science, cooking, and the outdoors. It's really hard to say about that drawer. Now that may be somebody who's, you know, seems like him and the investment banker seem like, you know, kind of straight edge dudes. So they may kind of be on the guilty side, but you know, let's keep looking at drawers. All right, a 30-year-old female from New York, from the New York borough of the Bronx, who works in a deli. She listens to hip hop, reggaeton, and enjoys reading and playing video games. So this drawer just may be on the side of letting P. Diddy go. She listens to hip hop and reggaeton. Reggaeton, I've never even heard of that. But I don't know, it's still a woman. And whenever it's a woman, like I said, that's looking really bad for P. Diddy. But here we go, another drawer, a 42-year-old female from Manhattan who is an aide in a nursing home. She likes to cook and paint and watch Harry Potter and Disney films. So it seems like some of these drawers on there, especially like this woman, she's gonna be on the side of convict. I'm very straight edge. I can't stand all the freak offs. It seems like she'd be on the side of convict, but we have more drawers. Let's look at some more. We have a 41-year-old male who, you know, from the Bronx, who works in communications at a U.S. prison. He listens to reggaeton and 90s hip hop, and his hobbies include sports and fantasy football. So this seems like a black guy. So he's got a 41-year-old black guy who listens to 90s hip hop. P. Diddy was absolutely quintessential 90s hip hop. I cannot see this guy convicting P. Diddy. Now the others, some of the guys seem like, you know, they may be freaked out. They seem like really straight edge guys. But, you know, with the gay guy and the black guy who listens to 90s hip hop, then you have the other female juror who listens to hip hop music. And P. Diddy, like I said, is quintessential hip hop, especially if you're talking about 90s and early 2000s hip hop. I don't see this jury convicting P. Diddy. I don't. And let's look at the makeup of, we're just going to speed run the other jurors. You have another 74-year-old female from Manhattan who works as a treatment coordinator. Like I said, the women never work in his favor. A 67-year-old from Westchester who works as a logistics analyst. A 69-year-old male from the Bronx who is a social worker. He listens to R&B and popular music from West Africa and enjoys watching sports. This is a black person. So they've got a plethora of black jurors. So they've got the whole team of DEIs. You know, you got the gay guy, except transgenders. You got the gay guy. You got the black guys. This may be seems like a black woman. I don't see a jury, with multiple black people who listen to hip hop convicting P. Diddy. Can you see that? A 40-year-old black dude convicting somebody like P. Diddy? I think the 40-year-old black dude is going to look at Cassie and think of all the women he's dealt with that just perpetually played the victim. Okay, and who else? 68-year-old male from, I just read that one. I read that one too. Okay, 68-year-old male from Westchester County, just north of New York City, who's a retired bank worker. He listens to Indian music, so they've got an Indian. Plays cricket and volleyball. So that's the jury makeup. I think I read everybody. But yeah, with the jury makeup like that, I don't see them convicting P. Diddy. And his behavior was absolutely degenerate. His behavior isn't something that I'd, condone. It's something I'd never condone. But if we live in a society that, accepts some of the worst behaviors like this, this was a gay pride parade in New York when you had grown men walking around in scantily clad, shaking their behinds in public in front of children. We have a society where that's acceptable. And it seems like what P. Diddy was doing, he was just a major freak. He didn't seem like he kind of did seem like a terrible person. He didn't seem like this, terrible drug dealer who had this sex empire. No, just a bunch of sex workers going across the country doing his dirty work and coming back, and it just wasn't that type of an operation. It doesn't seem like it was that type of an operation. It seems like you had a guy who was really freaky, and he had a woman, Cassie, who was willing to participate in that freakiness. And they got a lot of prostitutes and a lot of homosexuals and all types of freaks of nature. And they got all those sorts of people to participate in the very long and very freaky freak-offs. That's what it seems like. I haven't seen anything of it. Cassie convinced me of that. Cassie, who was the prosecution's star witness, she convinced me of that. Just based on what she said and based on other things. But nonetheless, P. Diddy's going to be found not guilty. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know what you think of this video in the comment section. And remember to like, subscribe, share, and as always, stay woke.